Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer.
I'm Steve Wilkes.
Back here in the kitchen, and we're going to talk about a beer that I brewed. This is what I'm calling my Spur of the Moment Saison, and I wrote about it on the blog beerandwinejournal.com, which if you hadn't been to yet, you need to go to. There's lots of good stuff. Mostly written by Chris Colby, who's been on the Basic Brewing Radio many, many times. Anyway.
So what, you were sitting around the house?
I was sitting around the house and I had some time.
And some basil and some what?
Yeah, I did, but that's another story.
Okay.
But I said, I got time to brew. You need some help?
Yeah, I had to pull my socks up. Sometimes.
You left your garters at home.
I did.
No. So I had some time.
Yeah.
But I hadn't been to the homebrew store in a long time. I looked at my logbook and there was a big gap. My brewer's logbook, there's a big gap of
so let's see.
A long time. It's been a dry summer. Don't even mention the earlier date when I brewed. So I said, what do I got? I said, I got 2-row, and I got some malted rye, and I got some American hops, and then I got this packet, I still have the packet, of Bell Saison yeast that we got at the National Homebrewers Conference in our goodie bag. So I'd never played with this yeast before, so I thought, hey. So I looked up Saisons in a book or two or a website or three or whatever, and they mostly use Pilsner and wheat, and it's nothing like this. So I called it my Spur of the Moment Saison.
It's nothing
like a Saison, except for it uses Saison yeast.
That might be pretty Saison-y though.
Yeah, I wrote an article about it on the blog, beerandwinejournal.com, and my opening sentence was, this is not a story on how to brew a traditional Saison. Right. So anyway, we'll see how it turns out.
Pseudo Saison.
Gesundheit. So,
thank you. Should be better in a few minutes.
So let's talk about what we got here. We got first of all, I did this brew in a bag. I collected 6 gallons or 23 liters of water at 159 degrees Fahrenheit or 70.5 C. And in that I put 9 pounds or 4 kilograms of 2-row, 1 pound or 0.45 kilograms of malted rye in there, and which gave me a mash temperature of 151 Fahrenheit or 66 C that I held for 60 minutes. Then in the meantime, I heated up 1.5 gallons or 5.7 liters of water to 170 degrees Fahrenheit or 77 C. And after I squeezed the initial wort out of the bag, I sparged in that second bucket, or second kettle. Then I brought that up to a boil, and I added 1.5 ounces or 42.5 grams of Hallertauer just for bittering for 60 minutes. And then at the end of the boil, the tasty part, I did 1 ounce or 28 grams of Amarillo at 5 minutes before the end of the boil. And then 1 ounce or 28 grams of Mosaic at flame out. And then I used the Danstar Bell Saison yeast, hydrated, and it started out at about 1047 and ended up at 1006, so about 5.4% alcohol by volume.
Well, there you go. So you're right, it is nothing like a Saison.
It's got the name.
It's got the yeast. So now, did you let it ferment at a relatively high temperature?
It was a little warm in the basement. It was 70.
She said.
That was a Cab Calloway song.
That's right.
A little warm in the basement. So it was around 74 C or 74 degrees Fahrenheit. It wasn't 74 C. Really that would have been hot.
Yeah.
I don't know what that translates into Celsius, but it was warm in the basement, and that rose up even more with the temperature of the fermentation. Right. So, are you curious?
Yeah, I'm really curious.
As to what?
Obviously,
I have here the Basic Brewing growler bag here that you can.
But wait, there's more. Beer. No!
This is
what is this?
This is a surprise for Steve. This is and I put masking tape all over the brand, but this is a Big Boy beer, or Big Boy beer can. It's their they're a 16-ounce aluminum pint can bottle thing.
Yeah.
There was a camping trip involved. I'm not going to say how we got this, but you don't have to buy this beer, but you can find it in trash cans everywhere. So I said, I looked at this and I said, hey, that's a resealable aluminum bottle.
Yeah.
Now, the advantage to that is if you're going hiking or if you're going canoeing, you don't want glass bottles, because if the thing falls out of the canoe and breaks, then that's horrible for the environment. It's horrible to leave cans in the environment, period. But if you drop them, they're not going to break and
slice your foot
off. Right.
Right. That's what the fish hooks are for.
That's right. Yeah. That's what your trot line's for.
So this is a way to see. This is blowing my mind.
This is it's a surprise for you. So it's the same as this. I batch primed it.
Right.
And then, the thing is, it's hard to fill those. My wife Susan filled those. I did 6 of them, or we did 6 of them. Yeah. And the thing is, you can't tell. It's hard to look in there while you're filling.
Yeah.
To see when to stop. So a little practice.
If you were a kegger and you wanted to, so you got your keg to beer and you wanted to take a few of these with you on the camping trip.
Yeah. Well, same thing as Only,
but you primed this in.
I batch primed it. Yes.
I thought it was already carbonated.
No.
And you were just filling it for that.
And I haven't opened one of these yet. I've opened one of those. And
so this
tried
seals
that,
up
I haven't,
completely?
Well, yeah.
I'm stunned.
Now, here's the thing. I haven't opened one of these yet. So don't get between me and the sink.
I won't. I never do.
Here we go.
Or the buffet line.
Yeah, that's advice. It sounds like a beer.
I am just stunned at that. Wow. Well, look at that.
I can't tell when to stop. I wish I had a nickel. Story of my life.
That was just too easy.
Oh, it's pretty.
That's awesome.
That's the best thing that's ever been in one of these cans.
Yeah.
Or bottles.
Wow.
Or, I don't know what.
Wow.
So just just wash it out. Treat it as a regular bottle.
But you got to buy this stuff first.
That's the tricky part.
Yeah,
you could do like the way I used to do at weddings and scrounge in the trash for the champagne bottles for mead afterwards. So cheers.
Cheers.
See how the rye does a really nice job of head retention there.
It smells like a Saison.
Ooh, you can smell those American hops.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting the yeast in the nose more than the hops.
I have an ointment for that.
I'll be well soon.
Got the yeast in the nose. It's a tasty beer. Now I don't know how Saison-ish. I mean, if you are a purist for the style, find another podcast. but the American hops are what dominate this, in my opinion. I don't get a whole lot of the Saison yeast in there. Although, the Saison yeast is supposed to be fruity. This is certainly fruity. Mm-hmm. Lots of citrus. Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to compare and contrast?
Please do.
Yesterday I drank a bottle of Tank 7 from Boulevard Brewing. Mm-hmm. So one of my favorite Saisons. If you've not had that, try it. You'll like it. This is much cleaner. It doesn't have nearly the barnyard funk that the Tank 7 does. It's not as peppery. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say it's less spicy, but it does have the big American hops thing going on, which is great. But it still really has that same Saison feel. When the bouquet of it, to me at first was like, this is Tank 7. Oh. I mean, that's the first thing I thought of. And obviously, because I just had some yesterday, I'm just like, oh, that's Tank 7. But you're right. After just 1 second, the hops begin to come through. And I suspect as it warms a little bit, they'll come through even more. But it's cleaner. It's lighter. It's very tasty. So good job. This is awesome. I'm glad you made a full batch for a change.
And this works.
That's what's blowing me away.
And they're reusable. We can wash this again and take it on camping trips. You want to label it to make sure your friends who actually do like this beer don't drink it out from under you because they probably won't like it, and then you won't have your beer.
So the resealable cap really, I mean, obviously it does. It's just amazing me because I would be afraid that would leak.
No, it's got a little rubber seal. Now, there is a difference. When I sanitize my beer bottles, I put them through the dishwasher with no soap and no rinse aid in the heated drying cycle so that it will do a pasteurization step. This, aluminum cans nowadays are lined with a plastic coating inside, so I didn't want to risk melting that. So what I did was I washed these real well, and then I sanitized them. You know, I'd let them sit in the sanitizer for a long time to make sure that everything was sanitized, the lids too. Yeah. Make sure everything was sanitized. So I was kind of afraid that, you know, that plastic coating inside would retain some of the other beeriness, but I don't taste that at all.
Well, the other beer that originally came in there didn't have much beer in it.
That's true.
So no problem there.
Ka-ching!
Ching. This is a great beer, James. What does this prove? It proves that you can go into your beer locker and you can say, what can I do today? And if you're willing to not be afraid of, well, it's not exactly the style, it's okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that I won't go into the book and find a true Saison recipe and try that. And it might be fun to compare and contrast. But, you know, that's all about the fun of home brewing, is making stuff up. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
That's true. I mean, that's true. You think you do have to know what you're doing. I mean, you have to have some sense of it. But the pairing up of the big citrusy hops with the Saison yeast is great. I mean, it really works well. And I actually like it that it's a little less funky. I kind of like that. It's still a little funky, but it's not just like, you know, you're looking on a pole in the barn or something. Cut that out.
That's what. All right, time to go.
Time to go. Cheers.
We'll catch you next time. Happy brewing.
Happy brewing.
Come and visit us on the web at basicbrewing.com. You can find archive lists of both our audio and video podcasts on home brewing. You can also find our DVDs, Extract Brewing and Partial Mashing, Stepping into All Grain, Low-Tech Lagering and Decoction Mashing, Introduction to Wine Kits, and our Basic Brewing Brewer's Logbook, where you can track and log up to 50 batches of beer. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Write to James at basicbrewing.com, Steve at basicbrewing.com, or just use the contact form on basicbrewing.com.
Look at a pole in the barn. Jeez.